All right, sweet faces, this is our first homework review of the year. Just so you know, this will be a video of all homeworks for the week. All I ask is that after the first one is done, just pause the video and go ahead and wait until the next one comes up. It is just easier for me to make one recording of all of the homeworks than doing a bunch of little videos. So once we're done this one, I'm going to ask you to stop the video. The video will be reposted in your next class, so you will have access to it, and we will go over our next homework. So this is the first homework we're going to take a look at. This was posted in the classroom yesterday for you to complete. We are going to go over this, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and ask. So across the top, you'll see that I have given you an example of expanded form, of word form, and standard form. Remember, standard form is just how we would write it with numbers. Our word form is how we would say it if we were to speak it out loud. And then expanded form is taking apart the place value and writing it as one large addition problem. So the first question that we have here is, how would you write this in word form? Now, the easiest way to do this is simply to say the number out loud. You are going to say the answer as you go. So for this one, we have 742. We know that that's not how we would read it, though. We would call it 742. So if we wanted our word form, this would be 742. Now looking at our expanded form for this one, we have 923. Again, we're going to pull out the place value of each of our digits by itself, and we want to really focus on where that digit is in the number because that's going to help us come up with our answer. So we have a 9, but the 9 is in the hundredths place. We have a 2, but the 2 is in the tens place. Then finally we have a 3, and the 3 is in the ones place. If we were to expand 923, it would be 900 plus 20 plus 3. And if we wanted to check this, all we would need to do is stack it up and add it. Because when we add it up, we're going to see that this matches the number that we started with. So again, if we're expanding 923, it would be 900 plus 20 plus 3. For this one, we're writing the standard form. Remember, standard form, there's no fanciness to this. This is exactly how we start to learn our numbers. So we're going to read this out loud and think about what the place value is. So we have 473. So I know that I'm going to have a 4 in the hundredths place. So if we say 100, 10, and 1, I'm going to have a 4 in the hundredths place. And now I need to think of what 73 looks like. I'm going to put a 7 in my tens place and a 3 in my ones place. So if we're taking this to standard form from word form, 473 would be written as 473. All right, and on to our last question for today. This one we are going to write in expanded and standard form. So I'm going to start with putting it in standard form because that is going to help me write it into expanded form. So I have 654. Again, starting with my beginning place value, I know I'm going to have a 6 in the hundredths place. And then 54, thinking about what 54 looks like, I'm going to put a 5 in my tens place and a 4 in my ones place. This is my standard form, okay? Now to expand it, I'm going to pull it apart and write the value of each of these digits. So that 6 is in the hundredths place. This 5 is in the tens place. The 4 is in the ones place. And again, if I wanted to check this work, I can do 600 plus 50 plus 4, and that will get me back to my original number. So this is your first homework sheet. There were 4 questions. We were writing them in word form, expanded form, and standard form. If you have any questions on this, please reach out. You can send me a message, or you can also ask at the start of our class. All right, I'm going to ask that you stop the video here, please. This is the end of our first homework assignment. All right, I hope you've stopped because now we're going to take a look at the second one. So our second homework assignment for the week is again working on the same style of questions. We are looking at the expanded form, standard form, and word form. This time we have 6 different questions that we're answering. So let's take a look. This first one wants us to answer in standard form. Remember, standard form is really just a fancy way of saying write the number down. So let's take a look at what we have. I have 900. So if I write out my place value, I have 100, a 10, and a 1. I'm going to put a 9 in my hundredths place, and then I have 16. So I need to think, what does 16 look like? I'm going to put a 1 in the tens place and a 6 in the ones place. So 916 in standard form would be 916. All right, we're going to shoot over to the next one. This is asking us to answer in word form. So we have 714, and they want us to answer in word form. So I need to look at my value and think of how I would read this out loud. So I have a 7 in the hundredths place, and then I have the number 14. So I would write this as 714. 714. Again, we're just writing it as we would read it. Our next question is to expand it. We want this in expanded form. So we're starting with 247, and we're going to pull out the value of each of our digits. So this 2 is in the hundredths place. This 4 is in the tens place. And this 7 is in the ones place. So 200 plus 40 plus 7, if we stacked it up and added it to check our work, we would get the same number we started with. If they match, I know that I've done this correctly. Okay, this time we want the standard form. Again, this is the first way we learn to express our numbers, to just write them down. So we're looking, we have a 326. Write out my place value, label my spaces to help me make good choices with where I'm putting my numbers. So my 3 goes in the hundredths place, and then I'm left with 26. I need to think to myself, what does 26 look like? And I decide to put a 2 in the tens place and a 6 in the ones place. So 326 written in standard form would be 326. All right, we're down here. We're going to expand 682. So again, we're pulling out the place value of each of our digits. So we have a 6 in the hundredths place. We have an 8 in the tens place. We have a 2 in the ones place. If I expand 682, it's going to be 600 plus 80 plus 2. And then my final one over here, I have one more that needs to be written in word form. I have 496. Again, when I'm doing my word form, I really want to think, how would I read this? And as I say it, I'm going to write it down. So for this one, I have 496. 496. That brings us to the end of our homework for today. If you have any questions, if you have anything that does not make sense, anything you'd like more examples of, please send me a message or ask at the very beginning of our next class. All right, sweet faces, I will see you soon.